Hi, my name is Tammy,
And I'm Jen.
and they call us Woo.
Hey, hi everybody. Um, I'm being a little bit goofy, so I was throwing Tammy off guard a little bit to start this show. So maybe we would both be smiling, like super smiling when we started. Um, Today we're actually going to be talking about goals and goal setting and what that looks like. Um, I guess for our own process, but different ways that you can incorporate metaphysical and different themes into your goal setting. And as I was looking at some of the things about goal setting, I found this really interesting article that was talking about the different selves of goal setting, which I thought was crazy.
This gives
Tammy,
me
I
a
think you're
bit.
going to think this is interesting. It was talking about how we're not just setting a goal from our current perspective, so our present perspective, we're actually setting goals. Like the second that we set a goal, we are activating our past self to look at the future, our present self to look at the future, our future self to look at the past. And then we're also, what is it, the fourth and the fifth? The fourth one is the self that is aware of the other three that are looking at your goals. And then the fifth
Mm.
self is like the higher self that actually brought all these selves into existence. And I was like, whoa.
That's cool. I was gonna say I've been listening to a audiobook that is talking about quantum physics and stuff like that, and has like this whole approach to it, which is where I thought you were going with it initially, is like how to set goals and the idea that everything is now. Like
Hmm.
that time is really time isn't really real. It's something that we've made up to
Yes.
I guess fix ourselves somewhere, have something that I don't know makes more sense in our logical brains, or
Hmm.
just, specific things around that, but that everything according to the laws of nature and quantum physics, which is scientifically backed, is literally like happening right now. Like it's all
Hmm.
right now. So the idea is that yes, all this stuff can be activated, but it's all really like happening now. So when you
Hmm.
set the goal, you're not saying, I want to be this and this in the future. I want to be this. Because the future is all that's made up in our mind. And
Hmm.
the past is like, we can't go back there. Like
Yeah.
it's done. And
Yeah.
so really like everything is rolling out at the same time. Everything is now, which
Mhm.
mind blowing, but also kind of makes sense, right? So it's like when
Yeah.
you are saying things like really either uncertainly or like in the future I want to be this, in the future I want to be that, it's really not helping the universe and the laws of nature to work the way that it's intended to work.
Hmm.
So you have to put it in the time frame of now. So
Yeah.
that's really crazy to think of. Like, okay, so say for instance your goal is to grow yourself financially. It's not, oh, I would like to have extra money in the future. Or better yet, it's really not like, I don't want to have these extra bills, or I don't want debt, or, things like
Yeah.
that, because the universe just doesn't work that way. Like whatever you're focused on, it's not really working in the positives or negatives. It's working in like, if you're saying anything around debt, that's the point of what you're saying, right? So you're kind of
Hmm.
creating a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point of like, oh, the universe is hearing debt, cool, so this is what you are asking for. Not,
Yeah.
I don't want debt, but it's just hearing debt.
So
So
you just have
putting
to be like, I'm rich, witch. I caught
that's funny.
myself.
You know what though? I would have probably said the word. It's fine. Um, but yeah, so it's this like kind of cool thought process of like, yes, it's activating all of these pieces of your self and your life, but like all of it's happening at the same time, which
Yeah.
sounds crazy, but it's not.
Mhm. It kind of goes along the lines of our weird timeline conversation the other day. Like,
Yeah, this book that I've been listening to, it really did it put things in really kind of interesting terms and ways of thinking about it. It likened things to like, say, everything in the universe is the size of a soccer field, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you're putting yourself in the perspective of a person on the soccer field, you're seeing what's happening in front of you, behind you, and all around you. But what the universe actually is, in what everything is the soccer field. So you're doing this thing over here, someone else is doing this thing over here, someone else is doing this thing over there. Like, you are not that person. You are part of this entire soccer field that's happened. Like, everything
All
is
the
happening all at
things.
once,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, it's just a difference in perspective of where you're looking from. Like, are you
Yeah.
looking from, this is just me looking forward or back, or like, the whole soccer field is where all of this is happening, and I am part of the soccer field. The soccer field is part of me. I am the soccer field, because it's
Are
all
you the
part of the
soccer
mess.
ball or are you the foot?
Yeah. It's like I said, it sounds, for people who are like really not familiar or not into that, it probably sounds wacky, but it really does. Actually, there's a lot of research behind it. I mean, this was part of Einstein's theories. This is part of the way we understand the way the universe works, is how time actually works is different than what we kind of perceive it to be sometimes.
Yep.
So it's kind of freeing when you think about it. Like, if all I have is right now, because I literally can't live in the future and I can't live in the past, I can only live right now. Wouldn't it make sense that when I'm setting goals, I am putting them in the context of right now, because that is the only thing I have.
So, for all those people out there that are setting a goal this year to be on time all the time, you're always on time because there's only
Yes.
now.
Yes. And that is the whole theory behind all this stuff I'm listening to too, is like, you have to already be it. Like, everything is designed perfectly. So we really are creating our own realities with our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're feeling like we're stuck in a specific thing, like, for instance, the idea of like, oh man, I hate being late. All our
Yep.
mind and the universe and everything else is hearing is late, 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 late.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, I am always on time. And
Mm-hmm.
then magically things start to shift because the universe is like, yeah, okay, cool, you are always on time. Or
Yep.
like, a lot of people around this time of year are like, I want to lose weight. Well, that's not only not really specific, it's not really now, and it's not really the context that, if we're talking about it like we have been, then all that's being heard is wait, wait, wait,
Mm-hmm.
versus I am already 100, whatever your goal is, like a specific
Yeah.
goal. I'm already 140 pounds. So if
Or
you're
I'm
living every
healthy.
day
Yeah.
of I
Yeah.
am 140 pounds, or you're living every day of this is, you know, this is the thing I want in my body, like you said. If you're living every day of like, I am healthy and my body works in optimal function, or I am an avid hiker, or whatever your goals are for getting healthy, right? Or
Yep.
I can fit into my wedding dress or whatever, those, it
Yeah.
can be really specific like that,
Yep.
specific and present. And so it kind of makes you think, one, it makes you think through like, why are my goals what my goals are? Um, and also, how do I put this in the frame of mind where it's specific and present and positive?
Yeah.
So I'm not holding on, because that's essentially living in the past, right? If you're holding on to these things of like, oh, I feel so bad because I'm this way,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to live in something that's already happened. And that's not only is it not possible, it's just going to continue to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because that's all you're focusing your energy on,
Yep.
versus I already am this thing that makes me feel more joy, which is the purpose of all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the universe follows suit. It's also a self fulfilling prophecy where it's like, okay, cool. You're already this thing. So now all of a sudden, all these things are coming into your life that associate you with that thing. And yes, you do have to sometimes try to unravel your brain from it a little bit, right? Because we have a
Yeah.
really, we tend to overthink ourselves all the time. As you and I both have talked about, we
Yes.
can talk ourselves out of anything.
Hmm.
And a lot of it is, based in fear or maybe self-protection. But again, those are based on patterns that we've established a long time ago. It doesn't mean that thing is happening now unless we continually put ourselves in that frame of mind where it's happening now and then it keeps happening over and over and over again. So, say for instance, like I have had a whole journey with my health and my weight over the years. It's been many, many years. And I've had a lot of interesting things happen over the last 5 years when I decided that instead of concentrating on one specific aspect, because so I've had some disordered eating since I was fairly young. And I was always really good. Like, I always felt pretty good in my body. Like, I really, it wasn't so much like, oh, I care, about fitting in this certain size jeans or anything like that. It was
Hmm.
more like I had this feeling like I don't always feel my best. I don't always feel like I can do the things that I want to do. My mind already tells me I can do all these amazing things. And then when all of a sudden my body is not allowing me to do these things that my mind already thinks I can do, it's kind of like, well, dang it. Like you have a
Yeah.
little dose
Yeah.
of reality where you're like, okay, I can't do this thing and I don't like that. So I've always been good at dieting in the sense that if I have a goal, I can do anything necessary to attain that goal.
Yeah.
But what I was discovering is that that goal, I'd hit that goal and then I didn't know how to live after that. I didn't
Yep.
know what the next steps were. So over the past, it's been more than 5 years now, but at least the past 5 years, I started to process this idea of like, okay, well, that's clearly not the right way for me to look at it because
Yeah.
if I can't live this way, it means that I'm not learning how to live. I'm just learning how to restrict myself temporarily to hit this arbitrary goal that's
Yeah.
not necessarily going to be something that sticks with me. Well, now that I have, as I started to process all that, well, now that I've started to kind of get into this quantum physics thing and this all these other ideas behind it, it was really kind of mind blowing for me to think about. Oh yeah, so if you're always just thinking about, I wish I did something differently in order for my weight to be, it's you're always going to end up back in the same place that you think about all the time.
Yeah.
If you lose weight and you're afraid that you're going to get back to the weight you were before, well, you might get back to that weight before. But if you
Yeah.
have absolute certainty in the present time, like I am doing good things for my body. I, like you said, I want to be able to do certain things, right? So I want to be able to hike a mountain, right? So instead of like, oh, I'm going to get there someday, like I can hike a mountain. My body is
Yep.
healthy. My body is strong. All clear and present. And you believe it with 100% certainty, which is the harder part,
Yeah.
arguably. But if you
Yeah.
believe it with 100% certainty, then you're no longer thinking about the things that you think were mistakes or the things that you don't like. Instead, you're thinking about what you do like and what you do want out of this. And then all of a sudden, these things start to shift for you. So you're not thinking like, I've heard this saying before where people have said, I've lost weight, but I'm still like a fat person inside.
Yep.
You're not essentially doing that where you're like, you are not the same person on the outside as you are on the inside. It all
Mhm.
matches. So, of course, that
Yeah.
seems like it's going to be sustainable, right?
Yep.
Because you are that person. You are always
Yeah.
going to be that person who is in the shape that you want to be in, who can do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm damned if that did not make so much sense to me when I listened to it. And I was like, if someone had said this 10 years ago, I probably would have been like, I don't know if I understand that at this point, but it makes so much sense. So then
Yeah.
thinking about how that applies to the goals that we have and how much that's changed my perspective on goals. I have really big financial goals this year and
Hmm.
really big things I want to do to support myself and my community. And not that it's been easy, but it has been really fascinating to start to embody the wealth and the person that I am,
Yeah.
even when the physical forms of that have not always presented themselves fully yet. They do, but you have to, not only do you have to pay attention, but sometimes you have to kind of work through the things that you already set in motion a long time ago.
Yeah.
But the more you stick to that and the more you feel the easier it gets. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not worried about paying that bill because, of course, money's always there.
Yeah.
Money's always available
Yeah.
to me. It's kind of a really interesting switch. And it's not that it doesn't take work, but it feels better. I mean, I don't know anybody who would honestly tell themselves that they don't want to have some ease in the way that they move through their life and just have the confidence of like, oh yeah, I totally got this. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. My brain keeps trying to think of a saying that I've heard 1,010 times, and I keep thinking that I have all the words mixed up. So tell me if you know this. It's like your energy flows where your intention goes. Is that what it is? It's something
That
like that.
sound I don't know if that's it precisely right now, but it sounds right. Yes.
But what you were talking about and talking about, we're setting this image in our mind of what we want to embody, and we're putting all of our energy on that. And when we continue to put our energy there, this is exactly what you're saying. Like when you continue to put your energy there, everything that you're intending
Mhm.
flows freely to you. Everything that you have been creating in your mind or in your beingness is flowing to you because that's where you're putting your energy.
Mhm.
And if you don't put energy to something, there's no energy there to support it. So, like, remove your energy from the places that you don't want your energy to be flowing
That's a really
freely.
good visual way to look at it too, right? Where
Yeah.
kind of like what I said, if your energy is uh I want to lose weight,
Mm-hmm.
your energy is literally focused directly on weight
Yeah.
versus this is the person I'm already embodying, this person that's already
Yeah.
accomplished all these things. All of a sudden, your energy is like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's a straight line to that instead of a straight line to
Mm-hmm.
let's make this more complicated.
Yeah. Well, and I was also thinking about as you were talking about like your internal self not matching your external self
Mm-hmm.
in those situations and how sometimes the reason that we set goals is based on the energy of what other people want or what other people
Mm-hmm.
think we should be. Like we start to embody other people's perception of us, and we'll create goals to please other people, and we'll create goals for these reasons that have nothing to do with what we actually want or what we want to embody in our lives. And for me, one of the biggest things in setting goals is recognizing, why are you actually setting that goal? Are you setting that goal because you want that, or are you setting your goal that goal because you think that that's what you should have,
Mm-hmm.
or you think that that's what everybody expects of you? And really taking inventory of the things that I'm writing down, the things that I am creating, the things that I am putting in front of me as my own flow of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing, oh, yeah, that one's not actually mine. I don't want that. Like, I don't want that at all. Like, I'm just putting that there because I think that I have to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and taking that energy back because it's an energy leak. It's you're allowing yourself to put energy in all these places that aren't really where you want to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's a
I
really good point too, and I do think a great exercise for all of us that are following along with this today. Because part of this too that made me so excited is things are always so much more energetically in tune and powerful when it's done as a community, right? So if we're
mhm,
together as the community of listeners and us are putting all of our energy in creating these beautiful realities for
mhm,
ourselves and each other, like how much more powerful is that going to be? And I
yeah,
think a great exercise around that is taking some time to actually sit down and journal. And you can certainly go through the prompts of what do I actually want? Another book I listened to not that long ago, she was saying, you might say, oh, I just want to, sit on the couch and eat bonbons all day long and I don't want to have to ever worry about money and stuff again. And she was basically like, that's BS. Nobody actually wants to just do nothing. It might feel like you want to do that sometimes, but maybe that is a symptom of burnout or a symptom of being really deeply unhappy with where your life is or needing a break or whatever. There is so
Or
many.
that's what society tells you it means to be a certain type of person.
True.
Like that's the other piece of that.
That is true. That's a really good point, too. But you can't really observe those things if you don't sit down and actually think about what do I want. And you don't have to limit yourself. That's the other thing is like when you realize that you can write down whatever you want on that piece of paper,
Yeah.
whatever you want. No, there's no limitations. No, like, I don't think this is really reality. That's not what this exercise is about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whatever you actually want, every little desire that your little kid heart had, everything that when you sit down and think about it, and it could be even challenging stuff sometimes, right? Maybe this is a time where you sit down and you're like, well, dang, I actually want a relationship that feels more loving than the one I'm currently in.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe this is, I want a job that feels more fulfilling. This isn't about whether or not you're going to sit there and be depressed about your current circumstances. This is about putting that energy into what do you actually want?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're getting stuck trying to observe the symptoms of what might be behind it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you can't write down everything that your heart desires with certainty, well, why? Maybe you can sit and try to think about that too. Like, why don't I feel like I can have everything that I want? Why can't I even
Yeah.
write it down on a piece of paper? That might be a
Yeah.
challenge for some people.
Yeah. You went all serious and I'm like, I want a purple dog. Like I don't know where
You
that
can
came
write
from.
down whatever the heck you want. You can have a purple dog if you want one.
Apparently that's my heart's desire and I didn't even know it until this moment.
I love that.
Yikes.
But that's kind of also the aspect of, when you're a child and you really are living in the present for every second of the day, the stuff that came out of your mouth at that point was probably way closer to your heart's desire than
Yeah.
anything that comes out of your mouth now. But how frequently do we sit down and go, what do I actually want?
Yeah.
And then as you put those things out there, then you can start to break it down a little more, right? About, okay, if I want this thing, what are the other elements around this? What's currently happening right now in my life? How do I put this into my present moment and allow myself to be observant when I'm getting answers to things, or when the universe is asking me to make a shift, or when something does feel really good and I need to recognize that it feels good. Because you can
Yeah.
be grateful for your current life and also still want something that feels more aligned with what you actually want.
Yeah.
You can do
Yeah.
both.
That is very, very true. What keeps coming up for me is that it's similar to, so just a little background, little peek into our lives. Before we jumped on this call, I ended up doing some channeling because there was some information that was coming in for me and ended up bawling my face off in front of Tammy. But one of the things that's coming up for me is that we have the ability to channel in our lives all the time. We're always channeling energy. We're always channeling what we want. We're always channeling information and energy. And all too often, we block that energy from coming in. We block things based on what we think we need to be. And what Spirit's saying right now is that allowing yourself to sit down and write is allowing yourself to sit down and channel your higher self
Mm-hmm.
to give you guidance on what is most beneficial for your heart and your beingness and who you are as a, a they're saying person isn't the right word, but like as a person who is inhabiting this vessel here,
That's a
a soul
soul.
who's inhabiting this, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're saying a lot of the time, as a soul who is living in this vessel, you're blocking that energy to come through. You're blocking that channel. And so your suggestion to sit down and actually write that out is allowing people to open up in a way that we don't typically open up when we're speaking, because speaking, um, people feel like they can't take it back. When people
Mm,
write it down, they feel like they can hide it. So it's more personal. And so
yeah.
they're saying if you want to start by channeling it out and writing it, you're allowing yourself to channel that energy through you, put that energy onto paper so that you can speak it when you're ready to speak it. So just a
I love
little
that.
extra guidance.
Yeah, I love that. And that completely makes sense. And that's kind of what I was thinking too is, if you want it to be something that's just personal, it's just for you, because this could be an actually scary exercise for some people to sit down and think about it. It's it's not more satisfying, but sometimes it feels easier to just live in our safe zones of what has always happened and just assume that that's always what's going to happen and that's just our destiny.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit harder sometimes to sit down and actually be honest with yourself about what you want.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a good opportunity for people to not only be honest, but they don't have to share it. Like you said, they don't have to share it right away. You
Yeah.
can, but you can go back and you can add to it. You can go back and you can look at it. That's a big part of it too, is if you keep it, if this is what you really want and you can accept that that's what you really want, you can then find whatever you need to do to try to keep it in the forefront of your mind, whether that be going back and writing it again. Writing is very powerful. Words are powerful.
Yep.
You can say things, you can visualize things, you can find pictures of things that remind you of that. There's so many different ways to keep it in the forefront of your mind. But then we're
Yep.
doing like what you said earlier, where your energy is focused on that thing that you want, that you
Hmm.
really want. And then
Yeah.
the rest of your life starts to kind of create the situations to allow you to have that. Another important thing that I learned from some of the stuff I've been reviewing is the how is not our job, our
Nope.
responsibility. So, how
Nope.
these things happen is not our job to figure out, which can also be challenging for some people. I know myself included,
Mhm.
because
Yes.
sometimes we want to plan, we want to know, we want to control because control feels safe. You only have to have the intention and the energy. And often, when you get out of the way and you're not so focused on this is the only way it can happen, there is this plethora of opportunities that you had no idea existed and you never would have known existed.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden you're calling in all of these other things into your life that are like, hey, I'm over here. Here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity that you wouldn't have been able to visualize.
Yep.
So it's really about allowing the abundance of the universe and the people around us that make us feel whole and full to be there and to be
Yeah.
like, all right, cool. If this is what you want, we can do that. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, and I'm a total planner. I'm somebody who writes out everything, single step of everything. I used to plan my day to the minute when I was doing in-home massages. I actually shared with my business group one day, a day in the life of Jen. And I like showed them my schedule, like my actual schedule I showed them. And they were like, do you legit put 7:35 brush your teeth? Like 7:37 do whatever. Like it was that intense where I was scheduling every step of everything and I would figure things down to the minute because I needed structure at that point in my life. And I have started shifting away from that a little bit. There are days like if I'm going on a trip and we have to leave at a certain time, I still go back to planning out every minute. My fiance is not like that. So I do that with my goals too. With everything that I do, I plan things out. And there have been many times that spirit has come in and knocked me up the side of the head and he's like, That is not your job. Like you are putting too many limitations on what you're willing to accept into your life. And that's exactly what it is. You're blocking the energy.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, "Nope, I don't want anything unless it's this."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "If you want this to happen, like you can say that you want it to be this specific if that's what you really want, but if you're not tied to brushing your teeth at 7:35 in the morning, don't write it down."
Mm-hmm.
And I I still struggle with it, like especially if I'm planning an event or I'm doing my finances, I'm doing things, I write down everything. And then I'm like, okay, back away from the pen, back away from the piece of paper.
I thought I
And
was organized.
I oh, it is not necessarily organized. It is just a certain level of structure that most people cannot commit to. um, but it was one of those things where I had to recognize that I was putting so many limitations on
Mm.
myself. And as I've been looking at my goals for the upcoming year, like one of my big goals has always been to have this giant retreat center on acres of land that I can host all of these huge events at. And I keep like pulling back away from it, pulling back away from it. And I keep trying to plan it out and put all these details in place. And there will be aspects of it that come up and things that will drop in front of me that are like, oh, that's an opportunity. And I'm like, oh, but that won't work. And I create all of these reasons why the how doesn't match what I've been writing down for so long. And so this year in particular, I've been recognizing where I've been writing down the how so much that I've been blocking the opportunities that are right in front of me, the things that the universe keeps dropping in my lap that I keep turning down because I'm like, oh, that won't work. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that won't work. But why not? So
Right?
it's like we need to recognize where we're actually turning away the
Mm-hmm.
abundance that's being given to us and turning away the resources and opportunity that are being given to us
Mm-hmm.
in the goals that we've been setting because we've been trying to figure out the how for so long and we've been writing out the plan for so long that we think we have it figured out, but we have no freaking idea.
Yeah.
Like none. Otherwise, it would already be like
Yes.
we would already witness it right in front of us.
Yes. I usually find that when I recognize that I'm doing something like that and I get out of my own way, whatever happens after that is much better than anything I would have been able to
Yeah.
realize myself.
Yep.
And holding on to things that are not working is not, doesn't feel good ultimately.
Yep.
You know, like I said, it might feel safe at one point, but it doesn't feel like it fills up your soul. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that have come, like interesting things and lessons about all of that that have come into my life. But all of a sudden, the optimism factor has improved significantly because when
Yeah.
you start to realize that there's literally nothing that you can't ask for,
Hmm.
you're like, "Oh my god, I why would I just assume something's not going to work for me without even trying?"
Yep.
You know? And to be fair, that works both ways. Like you can
Yep.
ask for anything. You can ask for continual circumstances that make you feel like crap.
Hmm.
Or you can ask for all the things that you never would have fathomed before that could be true for you and
Yep.
just believe that, well, why not?
Yep.
Who told me I can't have this? One
Yep.
of the other things that I um, was learning that I thought was really helpful information was this idea of yes, you do want to try to reframe things in your head as it comes up. You know, some of these more maybe like negative feelings and stuff are coming up. But if it keeps on coming up, then you can actually like pick it up and examine it a little bit more and go,
Hmm.
okay, well, if I feel this way and I'm only willing to let this happen in my life this way, who told me that it only had to happen this way? Why do I believe that? And
Yep.
then you can start to actually examine some of the belief systems that maybe don't serve you anymore.
Yeah.
That maybe you're like, oh my God, it's me. I accidentally got in my own way.
Yep.
Because some of it doesn't happen in your conscious mind, some of it happens in your subconscious, some of it happens in ways that you're not actively thinking about it.
Hmm.
But unless you're willing to pick up that thing and observe it and go, why do I believe that?
Yeah.
Then you're not necessarily going to recognize or connect those two things. So
Yep.
I think it would be cool. We both put our intentions out there. If anyone would like to share their intentions with us, we would love to hear them. If you don't want to put them in a public forum, you can certainly email them to us. You can,
Hmm.
whether you're listening to us in audio format or on YouTube, there's access in the descriptions for
Hmm.
how to connect with us through our website or email. But we would be happy to put more intentionality behind the things that you really want in your life. And if you
Yep.
want to share it with the community, please do. So I think it would be fun to put both of our intentions out there, and then maybe just briefly talk about some things that we can do to try to maybe do things that feel good and supportive, and maybe ceremonial things that we can do around it
Yep.
too. So I'm going to put this in the present tense.
Hmm.
I've been working a lot around financial mindset and the ability to receive. So I am wealthy. I receive wealth. It's already in my possession. I have a beautiful, large space of healing practitioners and medicinal herbs and beautiful community driven support and healing for everybody surrounding me, including myself.
Woohoo!
Yeah. How about
I
you?
can't. I'm so excited to come and see your space. For me, I'm rich, witch.
Yes.
That's one of them. Um, I I am running this beautiful retreat center that has the ability to host at least 50 guests at a time, with beautiful classrooms, these spaces that perfectly hold sacred containers for the energy of um, the classes and workshops that we teach. Um, I'm holding on a regular basis cacao ceremonies and allowing myself the opportunity to share my channeling and share my gifts with other people. I am giving of myself in ways that feel reciprocal and feel loving and caring and kind. And I am holding space for beautiful relationships with people around me. So those are my big things for this year.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I want to do, which I was talking to our hypnotist friend Angie this morning, she was talking about moon water, which is a newer thing to me, but I am definitely going to try it. We happen to be recording this on a full moon day, which is
Woohoo.
perfect. So the idea is that you put out water in the full moon. You want to keep it just during the time that the moon is out. Full moon energy is really intense. It can infuse the water with a lot of intention, a lot of energy. I mean, just think about the way the moon influences the waves and water on the entire planet, and it will totally
Yep.
make sense how the moon can influence that water. And
Yep.
then you put your intention in that water as well. You can put it, you can write a note and put it on the vessel. You can put something in the water, whatever it is that makes the most
Mhm.
sense to you. So that's something that I want to do with my intentions to really seal them in and do something that feels very supportive
Mhm.
in this forward momentum.
Yeah, that's beautiful. When you brought up the moon water, it reminded me that I have moon water that I infused a few years ago, and it's still sitting, and I've been waiting for an opportunity to use it. and I don't know why I've been waiting, but now I'm like, oh, that's a good reminder. That's a
Mm-hmm.
good reminder to use that, help shift and move things through. So I might have to pull that out. Um, I love fire. We have talked about this. I love fire so stinking much. And I think that part of my forward momentum is allowing myself to use fire to um, burn off the energies that sometimes I call in that are not necessarily helping me. So those moments where I write down every single minute of every single day, I can use that fire to burn that off. I can just go and put those lovely little to-do lists right in that fire and utilize that. The other thing is, my fiance got this beautiful, beautiful drum, this ocean drum that he has been he actually was drumming with another drum that he got too. As he was walking through the house this morning when I was on a business call, he was just drumming through the house. And so I think I'm going to tap into those energies as well when he's playing with his new toys. I'm going to allow that to be a reminder for me to get into the flow of things and accept the beauty that the universe is putting in front of me and the resources that the universe is putting in front of me. Because it's a resource where I'm not having to actually do the things to care for myself. It's like he's
Mm-hmm.
putting that energy in the house, like the beautiful ocean wave noises with that drum and the drumming bringing me back to my roots in Mother Earth. So I think utilizing those lovely resources that are put in front of me will be beneficial too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, with those wonderful sentiments, we are going to please encourage everybody, whether or not you're sharing the information with us, share it with people that you know and love and support you. We're really here to just do this all together. So feel free
Yeah.
to share it with us. Feel free to share it privately if you would like. And maybe if you want to share with us any type of ceremonial things you might be doing to try to help to feel like you're really embodying that goal, we would love to
Yep.
hear it.
Yeah. Well, and I will probably make an altar for all of my
Mm,
intentions for the year, to amplify the energy. If there's anybody who is listening that would like their intentions placed on the altar as well, like make note of that in your comments, and
oh,
I
awesome.
will either write them out or print them out. I'll probably write them out because then I can fuse some extra love and energy into it for you as I'm writing. And I'll put those on my altar as well. So
I
so
love
any way that I
that.
can support everybody, we'll do that.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks everybody for being here with us. Our next episode will be the final episode of the season, and we're going to do a fun little wrap up of the season. Then we'll take a brief break
Not
while we
that kind of
prepare
rap.
for not that kind of wrap. And we will be taking a brief break after that to prepare for our next season. But believe it or not, it's already been almost a year. So we look forward to joining all of you guys next week.
Yep. See you next week. Thanks everybody for listening. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe and check the show description for the links to the show. We would love to hear your thoughts below on this episode, as well as anything that you'd like us to talk about on future episodes. Remember, everybody, you are unique just the way you are, and that is why they call us Woo.
Mm-hmm.